She donated $50,000 to help immigrants while paying her Mexican housekeeper half minimum wage for 8 years. She looked at me like I was dirt on her marble floor. I was on my knees in her living room. 8 women sitting on white sofas, and my boss, the woman the newspaper called a champion for immigrant rights, pointed at me and said, "This is why you can't trust these people." I asked her to deep clean the baseboards last week, and she was too lazy to do it. I stopped moving. My hand was still on the rag. I did not look up. I could hear one of the women laugh. A small laugh, polite, like she did not want to be rude, but also did not want to disagree. I had cleaned those baseboards. She did not notice. Or maybe she did notice. Maybe she just needed something to say, something to make herself look better, to make me look small. And that phrase, "these people," it hung in the air, like I was not Rosa, like I was not a person with a name. I was just one of these people. I finished the baseboard. I stood up. My knees cracked. I walked to the kitchen with my bucket. I did not say anything. I never said anything. Let me tell you how I got there. I am Rosa Santos, Tia Rosa. I am 50 years old. I came to Houston from Jalisco, Mexico in 1996 with my husband, Javier. We had nothing. We worked. He worked construction. I cleaned houses. We learned English from TV. We raised 2 children. We survived. Javier died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Too many years in the sun. Too many years carrying weight that was not his to carry. After he died, I kept working. I had to. I clean houses for wealthy families in River Oaks. Big houses. Houses with more bathrooms than I have rooms in my apartment. In 2016, I started working for Mrs. Patricia Henderson. She was 58 years old. She lived in a house that was 6,000 square feet. 6,000. I cleaned it twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. She paid me $120 per session. At first, I thought it was fair. It was cash. It was consistent. But after a few months, I started talking to other housekeepers at the bus stop. They told me the market rate for a house that size was $250 per session. Some of them were making $300. I was making half. But I did not say anything. I needed the work. And Mrs. Henderson, she was always very polite. She smiled. She said thank you. She told me I was part of the family. She also called me on my days off. She asked me to stay late without offering extra pay. She asked me to water her plants when she traveled, feed her cat, bring in her mail. She gave me her house keys, her garage code, her alarm system code. She had my personal phone number. I thought that meant trust. Now I know it just meant access. The work was hard. A 6,000 square foot house is not a small job. I scrubbed floors, I cleaned windows, I wiped down ceiling fans, I moved furniture to vacuum underneath. I organized her closets when she asked. I polished silver she never used, and I bought my own cleaning supplies. She never offered to reimburse me. I spent $50, $60, sometimes $80 a month. Over 8 years, that was $6,400 of my own money. I kept the receipts. I do not know why. I just did. I also kept a log, a small notebook. I wrote down every time she asked me to stay late, every time I worked extra hours, every time she called me on a Sunday and asked me to come in on Monday because she was having guests. I did not write it because I was planning anything. I wrote it because my mother taught me to remember. She used to say, "La memoria es lo único que no te pueden quitar." Memory is the only thing they cannot take from you. Mrs. Henderson had a reputation. Everyone knew her name. She donated to immigrant causes. She went to charity galas. I saw her picture in the newspaper once. She was standing next to the mayor. She was smiling. The headline said she had donated $50,000 to help immigrant families with legal fees. I remember staring at that picture for a long time. She donated $50,000 to help people like me. But she paid me half of what I was worth. She worked me for 8 years and saved herself $99,840 by underpaying me, almost $100,000. I did not hate her. I just started to see her clearly. The book club meeting happened on a Friday in September 2024. I had been working for her for 8 years and 3 months. I arrived at 9 o'clock in the morning, like always. She told me she was having friends over at 11 o'clock. She asked me to make sure the living room was perfect. She asked me to dust the bookshelves, wipe the glass coffee table, vacuum under the sofas. I said yes. I always said yes. I worked fast. I wanted to finish before the women arrived. But they came early. They walked in while I was on my knees wiping the baseboards near the fireplace. I heard them laughing, talking. I tried to be invisible. That is what you do when you clean houses for wealthy people. You make yourself small. You become part of the furniture. But then I heard Mrs. Henderson's voice. She was standing near the fireplace, right above me. I could see her shoes, expensive, leather, clean. She said, "You see, this is why you can't trust these people. I asked her to deep clean the baseboards last week, and she was too lazy to do it." I looked at the baseboard in front of me. I had cleaned it. I had scrubbed it with a toothbrush. My knees had marks from kneeling on the floor for 45 minutes. I had the photos on my phone to prove it. But I did not say anything. I stood up. I picked up my bucket. I walked to the kitchen. I finished my work. I left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like always. She handed me $120 in cash. She smiled. She said, "Thank you, Rosa. See you Tuesday." I took the money. I walked to the bus stop. I sat down. I waited for the bus. And I thought, I cannot do this anymore. That night, I sat at my kitchen table. I opened my notebook. I counted the unpaid hours. I counted the extra work. I looked at my receipts. I looked at the photos on my phone. Photos of the work I did, photos she claimed I did not do. I thought about Javier. He used to tell me, "Rosa, you are stronger than you think." I did not believe him then. Maybe I believe him now. I did not want revenge. I just wanted to stop feeling small. On Monday, I called Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid. It is a nonprofit organization that helps workers. I told them my story. They asked me to come in. I met with a lawyer named Maria. She was young, maybe 30. She had kind eyes. She listened. She did not interrupt. When I finished, she said, "You have a case." She looked at my notebook, my receipts, my photos, my text messages, all the times Mrs. Henderson asked me to work extra hours, all the times she asked me to buy supplies, all the times she called me on my days off. Maria did the math. She said, "You were underpaid by $1,040 every month for 8 years. That is $99,840 in lost wages. You also spent $6,400 on supplies she should have provided. You are owed $106,240. I stared at her. I had never seen the number written down like that. Maria said, "We are going to file a wage theft complaint. Are you ready?" I thought about that question for a long time. Was I ready? I thought about my mother, my children, my grandchildren. I thought about Javier. I thought about every time I said yes when I should have said no. I said, "Yes, I am ready." The letter went out 1 week later, a formal complaint, legal language, numbers, evidence. Mrs. Henderson called me 2 hours after she received it. She left 3 voicemails. The first one was confused. The second one was angry. The third one was scared. She said, "Rosa, what is this? Why are you doing this? I thought we were family. This is all a misunderstanding. Please call me back." I did not call her back. She sent me text messages. She said she would give me a raise. She said she would pay me $200 per session if I dropped the complaint. She said she had always treated me with respect. I did not answer. Sometimes I wonder if I should have. Maybe I should have explained. Maybe I should have told her how it felt to be called "these people" in front of her friends. How it felt to work for 8 years and realize I was just cheap labor with a smile. But I think she already knew. She just did not care. Maria called me 2 weeks later. She said, "We have everything we need. The wage theft is documented. The unpaid overtime is documented. The supplies you bought are documented. You have photos. You have text messages. You have proof." She paused. Then she said, "Other women have come forward." I did not understand at first. She explained. 2 other housekeepers who used to work for Mrs. Henderson had contacted the organization. They had their own stories: underpayment, unpaid hours, emotional manipulation. One of them had worked for her for 6 years, the other for 4. We were not alone. Mrs. Henderson tried to settle. She offered me $30,000, then $50,000, then $70,000. Maria told me I did not have to accept. She said we could fight for the full amount. But I was tired. I did not want to fight anymore. I wanted peace. We settled for $85,000. It was not the full amount, but it was enough. Enough to prove I was not lying. Enough to prove I was not lazy. Enough to prove that these people have value. I quit. I found a job with a professional house cleaning company. They pay fair wages. They provide supplies. They have a schedule. They have contracts. They treat me like an employee, not like a favor. I work 3 days a week now. I make $250 per house. I come home and I do not feel small. Mrs. Henderson's reputation cracked. Not destroyed, but cracked. People started asking questions. Other housekeepers started talking. The newspaper that had printed her picture with the mayor did not print another one. I do not know what happened to her after that. I do not ask. I do not care. I still think about that day sometimes. The book club, the white sofas, her voice saying, "These people," like I was not even there. I think about the moment I picked up my bucket and walked to the kitchen. I think about how I did not cry. I think about how I just kept working. And I wonder, was it strength or was it just habit? I do not have an answer. Maybe both. What I do know is this: honesty costs something. It cost me 8 years. It cost me $106,240 in wages and supplies. It cost me my dignity for a little while. But I got it back. Not all of it, but enough. I am 50 years old. I clean houses. I take the bus. I cook for my grandchildren on weekends. I tell them stories so they never forget where they came from. And I teach them this: no one can make you invisible unless you let them. Leo asked me once why I changed jobs. He is 8 years old. He does not understand money or wage theft or legal complaints. He just knows I seem happier now. I told him, I found a place where people see me. He said, they did not see you before? I said, no, mijo, they did not. He thought about that for a minute. Then he said, that is sad. I smiled. I said, yes, it was sad, but it is not sad anymore. If you are listening to this story and you have ever felt invisible, if you have ever worked for someone who treated you like you did not matter, I want you to know something. You matter. Your work matters. Your time matters. Your dignity matters. And if someone tells you that you are lazy, or that you are one of these people, or that you are not good enough, document it. Write it down. Take a photo. Keep a receipt. Because memory is the only thing they cannot take from you, and proof is the only thing they cannot deny. I do not know if I did the right thing. Sometimes I think about it. I think about the other housekeepers who came forward. I think about the ones who did not. I think about all the women who are still cleaning houses for people who do not see them. Maybe my story will help one of them. Maybe it will not. But I told it, and that is enough. If this story touched your heart, leave me a comment. Tell me, have you ever had to choose between staying quiet and standing up for yourself? What did you do? And if you want to hear more stories like this one, subscribe. I will be here. I am always here. That is the story, mijo.